I read a passage from Charles Moore in a miscellaneous book introduction. He wrote that it is an inescapable part of human nature that we seek to connect ourselves, however temporarily, with a place on this planet which belongs to us and to which we belong. It made me think of you, Wellington. Well, on behalf of Te Kahui Whaihanga, New Zealand Institute of Architects, welcome to our last City Talk for the year. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thank you to our sponsor, Asa Abloy, and thank you to Robin Skinner and Moana Poynton from Te Heranga Waka. Well, I don't know about all of you, but 2024 on balance has been not great. So when we were trying to think of what to do for our last City Talk, I admit we sort of floundered around for a while. Eventually we got here though, with the idea of trying to focus on a small sample of things that make us feel good about where we are in the world. I'm not from Wellington myself, and I suspect my heart will always sing to a different mountain and a different river. But I love this place. I love the fact that the biodiversity here is defying international standards. I love that coffee is always accessible, and you can pretty much invite anyone out. It's a small city, but you can feel like you can walk down the street and be welcomed into any random gallery opening, gig, I don't know, random occurrence, and feel welcome. I love how the people here keep trying and keep making things happen. And I love the wind, how emboldening it is. So tonight we have a small handful of architects. We've got Gerard Dombrowski, Amelia Atkins, Arundam Sen, and James Fenton. So let's get rolling. Gerard.
Hello. Do we have a stick or something? Yeah. This thing. Concrete. In my attempt not to bore the shit out of you, I'm going to be pretty hard and fast, and we're going to play a game. I've made a little vase. It's a little bubble vase. It bubbles. Very cute, very fun. So we're going to match some textures to buildings, because I like concrete, yes, especially some exposed ag, etc. So feel free to shout out if you know buildings, but keep sort of a running tally of how many you get right. And whoever feels like they get the most, you could lie and just say you got the most. We'll get a vase. So, without further ado, any guesses? Any takers? There's so many clues. Who was this one? Christchurch guy. Peter Bevan. Thornton Muse. Love it. Very chunky. I have no idea who did this one, but this one is the gym, the Sacred Heart School in Thornton. So there's a geographical sort of continuation to this, because I drove around yesterday and took photos. This one down the road, look at that chunk. Is this bush hammer? Is that what the technical term is, Guy Marriage? The depth of this bush hammer is epic. It's some truly good texture. And I noticed that the bush hammer also has rounded stones, so I wonder if they use the same stones in the paving. And then a zoomed in iPhone picture of the facade. Any guesses? Easy. Close, but no cigar. What's that? No, I think Thornton. National Library. Yes! This whole yarn started with this building, because I love this building. It's got grit and depth, texture, which I think a lot of buildings kind of lack now. So this whole ramble is a passionate discussion about concrete and texture and grit. Any guesses? big Thorndon still. We're going on a drive, driving around town.
I think that's your breakfast from yesterday morning. It looks like rice pudding.
Very close, very close. St. Paul's. The strip around the bottom, it didn't look painted. I'm trying to like get buildings where there's no painting. This goodness, they really used to nail exposed ag panels. Like, such a good distribution of little brown stones.
It's an waterfront.
Don't even know what building that is, but it's that one on the corner. The court is around the corner. That's my ute in the middle. Any guesses? Gordo will know this one. Custom ceiling. Did anybody get that? Nobody sits at customs staring at the ceiling? I'm going a bit slow, I need to ramble on. Any guesses? Oh yes, this one's good. There's so many grit. And look at the leaf. Like, there's a leaf in the cast. That is, I like that. And then they polished one as well. So you get the same texture but different finishes. Oh yeah, I zoomed past that one. But that was the one at the end of Glover Park, the one that you used to be able to drive through. This one is a school. Any guesses? St. Pat's, yes. Any guesses? It's not a building, it's a footpath. It's not a building, it's a beach. Somebody said beach. Keep that tally for later. This one, you can see there's some residue of tagging. Ooh, yeah. We're heading over to Strathmore. That's not a building, that's a wall. I went to go up to the water tower because I wanted to get to the water tower, but it's all very fenced in and I didn't feel like being too outrageous, so I took a photo of the wall. But this is the premise of the talk was things you like and things that are, something that you like that's built, i.e. exposed ag concrete, and something not, which is earth, dirt, nature. But the similarities of the two are, I guess, is the whole yarn. Any guesses? We're thinking that end of town, probably won't get it. It's the family store. Real good grit, good stone size. This one, exceptional stone size. No one's going to get that one. It's that weird building overlooking, which I have no idea what business is there. It's very strange. That's not a building, that's just sand. That one, somebody will get that one. It's the most hint you'll get out of any of them. That big thing in Lyle Bay.
This is officially the hardest quiz I've ever done.
Yeah.
I'm getting 0 out of 0.
And you're the guy married.
I thought I was good at quizzes. I'm shit at this.
You are the pub quiz maestro himself. That's a rock. That's a footpath. All of those last ones were taken within that walk from my ute to the other side of the road and back. Any guesses? Boat ramp. Sand. Beach. Beach and wall look very similar, don't they? Give you $100 if you get that one. Yeah. I thought they were all ending up just brutalist buildings, so I thought I needed a bit of diversity. This one is a good, nice, fine stone finish, very small stones, and it's a fake brick texture. If that alludes to anybody, and there's a recent development there. Island Bay, Erskines, these earthy concrete finishes, more rocks, more goodness. Now. You won't get this one. What's this one? Guy marriage, what is it? Upper hut.
It's the expressions.
The gym.
Hut council.
Close. There's a series of textures. So that was the wall, this is the floor. And this is like an internal wall in a stairwell. That thing is a masterpiece. Look at that beautifulness. It's the same texture, but it's a different building. Same on site, but look at those rocks. Block C. Anybody guess Block C? Technical term. It might have been your previous guess, or part of it. It's like part of that development beside the upper hut. There's some beautiful brutalism up there. I forget if that's a wall or just the footpath. Might have been footpath. Column with some vertical board inlay. That's that one. This one, it's got glass in it. I thought it was painted stones, but they're not. They're just black stones with some glass. And that is the police building over there. They all have very epic, intricate, like concrete detailing, which maybe we don't do very much anymore because they were doing it so much, it was more affordable. More people knew how to do it. Don't know. More rock. Oh, this is a rock beside my workshop. It's got some moss on it and some sticks. That's dirt. This one, final takers. Last one.
Well, that's a Ministry of Works finish. The DSIR building at Greta Point.
Gorgeous. Close. It's the one opposite the pub over there. That red building you walk past. It's probably one of my favourites. Done. That's my talk. Who reckons they got all of them? All right, we'll go the other way around. Who got one? Who got two? Who wants a vase? Fastest. It is yours. Come to mama.
Does the vase get more stable or less stable when you put water or flowers in?
I just made it, so I have no idea. Let's hope it doesn't leak.
Thank you.
You can have that.
Oh, thank you. If I put them together, is that all right?
I guess if you're standing beside it.
Is that all right? Oh. Okay. Hi, my name's Amelia. I've been working in practice for about 8 years now, and I've been, pardon? No, I've been a registered architect for 2 years. So I came to Wellington in 2012, and I would say my heart is here more so than Hawke's Bay at the moment. I came here to study, and I would say its compactness, its walkability, and its creative energies have really kept me here. Once hailed as the coolest little capital by our own tourist campaign, whanganui-a-tara is kind of moving into an era of transformation and a new wave of pressure to adapt into a capital city that future generations can be proud to call home. Many things are changing, and I can't keep up with what streets are getting closed for infrastructure upgrades on a day-to-day basis at the moment. But there is still much to love about our city, I do promise. One building that I love in the city is this little gem. Not many people know exactly where it is in Wellington, and it's one of those buildings that you walk under a lot, but it's not one that you often get to see a full facade of. It's not heritage, and it doesn't have a name. But I think it makes quite an important contribution to Victoria Street. It was 1960s, obviously, and again, kind of like our last talk, it uses a range of forms and texture and treatments that have that projecting border around the windows, the curved concrete canopy that leads you in, and the tiled facade on the lower floors. there's not many early examples of modernism like this in Wellington, and I think kind of like our previous concrete exposed ag talk, the sense of craft in these buildings is something that is lost in a lot of buildings these days. That finer grain detail we seem to miss, and it creates a bit more of a relatable human scale. With Tanako currently closed, this is kind of my main route to work each day, down Harris Street. And though Harris Street is fraught with construction and police, it's always a joy to see this little gem at the end of the street in a world where we kind of are connected to our phones. It's nice to look up and experience the world around us. Something immaterial, something. So I've recently completed the Sargent Art Gallery in Whanganui, where I won the design competition for that in 1999. So it was immaterial for a very, very long time. And being involved in a project like that, it truly shows that good things do take time, and it's been such a positive icon for Whanganui. So I really do have my fingers and toes crossed that Tanako doesn't take 25 years to complete. Civic Square, I feel like we can't go around the edges of it. It was originally established by a team of collaborating architects to establish and create that heart that we know today, that we really didn't have before in our city. And with iconic buildings now located in the square like Te Matapihi, City Gallery, and Town Hall, and the Michael Fowler Centre, public spaces like these need to be thoughtfully planned with meaningful community engagement and interaction to promote everyday activity and be resilient to our ever-changing needs. So I am forever hopeful that it will return to being the heart of our city, and that we won't just have a plan for our city that is area by area or problem by problem, that we have a plan for our entire city, for the growth in the future. And I am excited about the different tools that are now at our disposal and how we can use technology to better engage with the public. Imagine a model of our city that was interactive and has endless possibilities to show the growth of the future, and how the new, soon to be finalised district plan could be used aspirationally. Something similar already exists in Sydney. This is their physical model of their city, and where they have to submit an electronic and a physical model with their building consent, and it each gets put into a plan of their city. I think that's quite cool. Imagine if we had that. So we already have a digital twin being developed for our city, and I think that offers so many possibilities. Imagine if this was hosted in like the foyer of Te Matapihi, where future generations could interact with our city, and we can actually start to show the public what we see as architects and the future of our city, that kind of through a different lens. That's our digital twin at the moment. And it's very focused on infrastructure projects at the moment and flowing through our city. But imagine if the district plan was overlaid, or new buildings that were popping up, or it has so many possibilities for growth. So as I look back through the existing fabric of our city, I'm very grateful for those that had the courage to dream big and work together to transform the way we build, the way we live, and the way we work. Our commitment to creating a better future lays in the foundations of the cities that we live in. And through a shift in mindset, we can be united with a purpose and passion, transforming our industry and our cities. I truly believe that everything is possible if we work together.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ki te taha o tōku matua no karakata o Kutupuna, ki te taha o tōku whaia no Mumbai o Kutupuna, ke te aro Valley aha e noho ahana, ko Orindum Sen tuku whenua, no reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Hi, my name is Orindum. I'm going to start with a brief apology, as I have prepared no slides. The words that I have prepared, I hope, do not require any further visual reinforcement. I seek your permission to simply read these words aloud. To my dear home, you know very well when I first landed on that strip, constrained on either side by water, how underwhelmed I felt about my new home. This small village was a far cry from the only other city I had known. A city with an unofficial population of over 20 million, one which never seemed to sleep, and where amongst all the chaos, I had a relatively happy and chill childhood. I felt comfortable in that humid, polluted, densely populated environment, but I also didn't know any different. My ma eventually found us a home, right smack bang on our south coast. And as I slowly learned to live within the embrace of your cold, wet, windy world, discovered thermal undergarments, learned to layer clothing to be flexible like you are, and started navigating this new world of mine. These were dark and lonely days, but you, my dear city, you found a way to show me that you could nourish and enrich me, allow me to grow and learn and eventually become my home like you have now been for over 30 years. Do you remember that evening that I spotted the poster for that play with Tim Baum at Bats? Let's Spend the Night Together, it was called. That was the moment. That was the moment you revealed your warmth to me. Sitting in that black box on a rickety seat when it was still acceptable for the actor to smoke on stage, I began understanding how you ticked, who you could be for me, and where I might fit. Bats wasn't alone either. Across the road was the brutal Hana Playhouse. A short walk around the corner was Takirua Depot Theatre. A bit further away was the Old Circa. There have been so many shows, stories, and performances that have helped me understand this new world that I found myself in. Takirua in Alpha Street was another one of those magical black boxes where I began my understanding of Te Ao Māori. The first place I heard the rhythm and timbre of Te Reo Māori. I really don't miss the climb up of what I recall as 4 stories of very narrow stairwells. But I have long missed waiting anxiously in a small foyer/bar, waiting to enter whatever new world that was about to be created for me. Hana Playhouse for the Downstage Theatre Company was a bit more fancy. I felt I needed to actually dress up to go there. On such a prominent corner, being inside this brutal construction, I appreciated not only the performances within, but also got introduced to a local architecture, where I started connecting more dots to deepen my understanding of you, my new home. I went for very few shows at the old Circa. Miranda Harcourt in The Comedy of Errors, presented in a contemporary manner, is a special memory. But then that building was cut in half, its sectional profile dressed in grass, its facade surgically cut. Professionals practicing in organizations like the NZSO, the RNZB, the endeavors on the Mirawa Peninsula, Associated Weather Workshop, Wingnut, Park Road Post, they're all still here. And yet there feels to be a dimming of that bright light. So many of my neighbors and fellow residents seem to have lost their love for you. Criticize you incessantly, debate and argue about your present, your future, your shape, your form, your utility, your function. But I feel they're ignoring your spirit, ignoring your wairua. I can see you struggling to grow so that we can benefit. I know that the time I spend here is only a fraction of time in relation to yours. And you are slowly dragging yourself into the 21st century, needing to adapt and change to meet our future challenges and needs. And while this may not be easy, I implore you to keep trying. And I promise to keep trying and working hard for you. This is my promise to you. Yours to the end, Arundel.
It's hard to follow Arundel. Thank you. Beautiful. My name's James Fenton. I have a small practice in Northland in the suburbs between Kelburn and Karori, where I practice with Tina Williams, Belinda Burke and Hester Boren. So we're suburban, based in a little suburban centre. So I'm a little bit like Gerard. I've gone on a walk around town. And this is a memory. So a building, I suppose in the theme of things, of demolitions and things, I'm not sort of labouring. I quite like, we always love buildings that are on the way to being built, and they're equally beautiful being disassembled. This is a little curiosity that it's been for sale a couple of times, and I've always wanted to, couldn't afford to buy it, but I always quite liked the idea of working in it. It's curious because it's a natural limit to its site, which I find kind of fascinating. Something I learnt about when we did this rooftop apartments in Wakefield Street, which we purposely made it a natural limit to the site and thought that the rooftops were a new ground plane to establish a new opportunity to build in the city, but have subsequently discovered that it's no go up there anymore, so probably should have made it bigger, like other people sort of managed to do. Because Wellington's, it's sort of a curiosity. It's always being added to and kind of messed up. And it's also got some beautiful concrete detail, not necessarily exposed aggregate, but try and find the new services. And then we have new structural additions to buildings, which make a kind of curious new thing, almost a pagoda form. And then we have critical commentary from the audience. This was a site hoarding of a new building which somebody had embellished beautifully. And then we have further signs within the city that remind us that if you have to put a sign there, then you've got something wrong. This part of that walk around the waterfront of Wellington sort of ends in this wonderful stadium space, which is just, you know, it's a city, so cities are about walking around, and it's an absolutely fabulous space. And this sort of reminds me of the very few public green spaces, as Robin Skinner talked about in his city talk earlier in the year. The civic fathers who laid out the plan for Wellington surrounded it with a green belt and didn't really make much provision for any parks within the city. So the dog and I walk that. This is the green belt plan, so it's very, very lacking in green spaces within the city, and I suppose it's the story of a metaphor for a city being the lungs of the city, which is such a lovely idea. But if you just keep that metaphor and don't, so this was an idea when you had 10-acre blocks in the outer suburbs and 1 acre in the city. If you don't change that metaphor, the lungs of the city, as the city grows, you end up with no lungs within the city. So some things you just got to keep thinking about, which is kind of my plea to Wellington, is to, I suppose, as Amelia was saying earlier, we need a model. We need to be thinking about the big things, not just fixing it like a jigsaw puzzle. This is my favourite building in Wellington. It's the Peter Fraser Memorial, who was a Prime Minister, and it's a favourite because it's got a kind of, it's wonderfully pointless. I mean, it's a memorial to a person. I love that, but it's also got a beautifully tiled roof with a big hole in it, which is kind of cool. Then we have these other sort of things lying around the green belt where people go and take pictures of themselves being married. And then suddenly you have the green belt doing funny things when people get water and polythene together and make a really a fun thing to do. Then one morning I was walking up the hill and came across this memorial to Tiananmen Square. So the green belt sort of, a city has to have places like this to offer these opportunities just to remember other things. The one thing that, as Robin pointed out, that we have forgotten is the streams. And that's kind of, it's a sort of, this is part of a plea to restore those streams back. This is the stream down the bottom of our road, Randwick Road in Northern. We walked through Otari, and it's just a suburban stream, and it's sort of, its health is restoring. I suppose that my plea is that the suburbs and the city do think about restoring themselves. We did a little project, or we've been working on a little project in Northland Village, which is the home of pizza, exports cheese on bread around the city. We've been trying to fix this village, which is full of misassociated uses. The best idea I can think of is to put a picnic bench on this green patch, but the thing I've been thinking about is the streets, and that was sort of another building that I love in Wellington, and I sort of grew up a petrol head, and now I ride a bicycle because I live in the 22 bus route and you have to have a bike. The buses are unreliable, but we sort of did a little project where we put together with the community to think about how to fix the street. And they're the places that we as people occupy, and I suppose it's a memory of COVID where we got to occupy the streets and enjoy the city from a public position. And I suppose public space, private space is that's an important discussion which we're entering into as we talk about Tūnako. This is my little idea for the Civic Square conversation, which the council has paid Jan Gell twice in 20 odd years to do reports about the city, what the city needs, and in both of his reports he's talked about the need to connect the city to the harbour, and yet at no point has the city made any real suggestions about how to connect the harbour. And I suppose anyone who's been anywhere in the world knows that on most big cities on Sundays close the street for the day, and I sort of felt that if Wellington did that, it's a no-brainer really. We could connect our city to the harbour and make a very simple idea that is already written in the district plan for a street race. This is my my digital twin of Wellington. This was when I was putting together that submission on Tūnako. I have a model of the city because I kind of play around with it for various projects, and this is the Michael Fowler to the left and the City Gallery and the Majestic Tower, and this is the lagoon in front of you, and these are the ground levels that are in the Tūnako proposal at the moment. They're sort of mounds on the ground, which when you are in the square and looking through, I found the discussion around the submissions on Tūnako to be rather a little bit bereft in terms of it turned into a discussion about the bridge, which is fine, which is all good. But actually, if you get in and model around the city and have a look at what is being proposed, I think there's another discussion to be had. I sort of don't offer a answer about whether the mounds are good or bad. I think they're interesting in terms of what they do with the bridge, but I think we could be a bit more critical about our architecture, and that's our job as architects. And if no one else does it, if no one does it, if we don't do it, no one else will. This I just added because it's curious. Architecture is about people, and this is a strange way of. It's possibly a great place to be. I just love it. It's sort of odd what we get up to, and it's just driven by fire regulations and things. And this is my parting comment, really. This is something that I have pinned on the wall, and I love it because it's sort of poetic. Paul Bayard was an American lawyer in the 60s who trained as an architect in the 70s. And the statement of his that buildings challenge our concept of public good. Our great challenge is to understand what we are keeping. To save something is an act of addition, and thus to add something is an act of preservation. We have to, in Wellington especially, we've got to be talking about what's worth saving, because otherwise we're just having these knee-jerk reactions and ill-informed conversations about what the direction of the city should be. And I hope that recent sort of discussion around the City to Sea Bridge and the discussion around the Begonia House will maybe let us think a bit harder and do our job. So my love letter to Wellington is, I love you, but we could do better. Thank you.
Well, thank you, James. I think the big picture of that is so interesting because, as you say with the town belt, it's had so many interesting ramifications with those big moves. Obviously, the town belt has some awkward little moments, but also it's allowed places like Zealandia. Gerard, thanks for the detail and the slightly awkward quiz. That was fantastic. It's the sort of things that us architects look at and that we genuinely find great joy in. And I love that you spend the time going around and taking pictures of them. Amelia, as always, a great view on brief, a great view of the future and all the possibilities and the optimism that we still have in Arundel. Simply beautiful. We've got a little bit of time, and I got told that maybe Guy would have something in his back pocket he could pull out, and maybe he could share a little love letter to Wellington with a little corralling from the audience. No, he did. Okay. No, go. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Robin told me to.
Thank you very much. Hi, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Guy. I'm an architect and I work here in this building, but and I'm not a Wellington native. I'm a boy from Hawke's Bay, but and I was born in Auckland. I never want to go back to Auckland. I spent the last week up there. It's an awful place. But I would love to go back to Napier, which is a lovely place, but there's no work there. So instead, I'm in Wellington, which we all love. And I think that I've been trying to help this discussion for the last 25 years that I've been here. So at first through the Architectural Centre, which some of you are members of, and which is still going. Remarkably, it seemed to die for a while, but it is still alive. And that's a really good venue. It has been a really good venue for many years for discussion and for action and for doing things about Wellington. And so hopefully it will manage to rebirth itself some more. Because I think the Architectural Centre is sort of the natural home for these discussions. I'm getting a nod from Judith, thank you, good on you. And I'm probably the only person here that knows every single person in this room, which is either a good thing or a really worrying thing. Anyhow, there are other things as well. So there was a guy called Tom Beard, who I'm having dinner with tomorrow night, who ran a blog called Wellurban. Does anybody remember Wellurban? It's still up there. When he worked for the council, he had to stop writing for Wellurban, but it's still there. And so it's a really good resource because he left all the things up there. So it's a good resource of discussion about various parts of Wellington. Then when he closed that down, there's another blog called Eye of the Fish. Anybody read that? Eye of the Fish has also got some really good commentary at times. It seems to die off occasionally and then come back to life. I'm not sure whether it's dead or alive at the moment, but I think that the important thing is that we keep on discussing these things. And sometimes I write articles on Scoop. Lindsay Shelton runs Wellington Scoop and tries to keep the discussion going there. And again, so, that's been a really good thing at times. It's not very vibrant. It's always fun trying to guess who the people are. But I think the main thing is that we need to keep talking. We need to keep discussing. We need to fight back against corporate decisions by the City Council. They may be right decisions, they may be wrong decisions, but the main thing is that we need to have some input into that say, because I think that virtually every single person in this room has got more knowledge about what's happening with the city than people in the council who have been elected by the people. So the mayor has got, she's a nice woman I'm sure, but she doesn't have much of a clue about the buildings. She's being misinformed by the City Council CEO and things like that. There's a huge amount of disinformation, misinformation, and you and I, collectively, we're actually the repository of knowledge about these things. So, you know, like the costs around the demolition of the City to Sea Bridge were bandied at anywhere between 30 million to 60 million to 90 million. I don't think it would cost that much for any of them. But the question really is, you know, should we be demolishing it? But also, why should we be? And the really important question is, what do we do if we have to demolish it? What do we put there instead? So all of those questions need to be raised and need to be talked about at all times. And that's our job, collectively, you and I, all of us, is to keep that discussion going and keep on probing. And whenever a politician says something, ask them why they're lying, because they're always lying. Politicians have to lie, that's their job. They have to say things that are unpleasant and untruthful. So they want to get re-elected, so they will say something that you know is untrue, but they will say that it's true. And so some politicians lie all the time, outrageously, including that guy with the orange hair. Every single word that he says is a lie. But we have it to a much lesser extent in Wellington, but our politicians here still lie as well. Some of them because they have to, some of them because they have a born inability to tell the truth. But I think it's our position to question them. So it's our position. We're not publicly liable like they are, so we can lie, but we can get caught out. But I would prefer that we speak the truth, but we know that our job is to catch them out in the middle of their lies. So that's what I'm all about. That's enough from me. Thanks.
Well, on that slightly political note, just slightly, I think we'll take away that at the end of the day, a city is about people, and it's always going to be about people. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Please join us in the foyer for some drinks and some nibbles, and share some more little stories about Wellington. Thank you.